My name is Adam.
And I'm Destiny. We spent a year converting an old swap bus into a fully functioning tiny home.
We started a company, sold our home, and hit the road full time. Together, with our dog Brew, we are redefining the concept of home.
We believe that we are always in a state of becoming, of learning and growing, and finding fresh perspectives.
And although we have sold our home, we do not consider ourselves homeless, but borderless.
We are not confined by four walls and a yard, but instead have adopted an even bigger yard, one we cannot wait to explore.
So this is our story, the story of how we are becoming borderless. I think we've been living on the road full time for 7 weeks. I'm not really sure. I've kind of lost track of time. In fact, I think we accidentally built a time machine. But I'll tell you more about our time machine later. But first I need to take you back to the beginning of this trip. We had just left Florida and we were headed to North Carolina to do some work back in our hometown. After catching up with friends and family and a bit of exploring, we couldn't wait to hit the road again for our first big trip out west. We flew through the southeastern part of the country and only slowed down once we got to Texas, and that was because Destiny saw a wind farm.
Whoa! Freaking out, man. Freaking out. Look, they're so big in person. Like, people don't even realize how big they are. And then, like, oh my god, this is so cool. I've always wanted to see a wind farm in person. The reason I was so excited about wind turbines being as far as the eye could see is because of all the benefits of them. Wind energy is clean energy, whereas power plants use the combustion of fossil fuels that emit greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. Producing electricity through wind is a positive factor in sustainable development. Sure, with every great thing comes challenges and room for improvement, but wind energy is one of the fastest growing renewable resources, and we hope to see a lot more positive growth occur in the years to come. Okay, I got cool photos.
After a few weeks in the bus, we started to kind of get into a rhythm. Started to lose track of time and kind of really dive into this lifestyle. And before you knew it, we were in the white sands of New Mexico. I wish we could spend more time at White Sands, and maybe we will one day. But speaking of time, let me tell you more about our time machine. The human brain is incredible. It truly is the world's greatest supercomputer. But it does have its flaws. Ever been driving home only to not remember the last 3 stoplights you drove through? The human brain loves to go on autopilot. Every day is a new experience. Every place we go seems fresh and vibrant. And this is why I say we have built an accidental time machine. Not that we can go forward or back through time, but we can make this moment in time seem more real and vibrant. Because our brains are not turned off, they are engaged in the present moment, not thinking of the past or the future. This moment is all that we have, and we're making the best of it. After visiting with artists from hundreds of years ago at the petroglyphs, we've set off to see the Tent Rocks monument, but we were denied entrance to this popular tourist destination because of our dog Brew. But a friend told us about a dried up riverbed that we could hike, with better views, less people, and of course, Brew was welcome. Brew, come here. Nope, nope. That's gonna hurt you. Good boy.
You okay? Oh, it's in his leg.
Yep, cool, got me. Yep.
How bad does it hurt?
How bad does it hurt? I'm gonna go with a lot.
Is he okay now?
Yeah, he's fine.
How are you gonna get it out?
I don't know.
Want me to get it?
No.
Is it in there that deep?
Yep. Well, we have hiked all the way to the end of this dry riverbed, and this is the spot right off the bed that we have decided we are going to picnic and have some lunch. What's on the menu for today? Sandwiches. Good sit.
Stay.
High five. Good. So every state that we go to has some form of a theme that we encounter. So for example, Virginia was for U-turns. 1,000 U-turns and I'm not even sure why. New Mexico is great and is beautiful, but the theme is obviously everything breaks. Okay, the roads are so bad that like our walls are starting to separate. This giant door flew open while we were driving down the highway because the threads on the nuts like worked themselves out while we were driving, and this door flung open at highway speeds, broke our glass, and it actually knocked our whole kitchen off of the wall, like. And now the worst case has happened. I'm here in an RV truck and repair shop, and I think our bus is broken. We were having trouble climbing hills and transitioning into higher gears, and even from park to get it into drive was giving us some struggle. So this is the only place we could find, and they said that it will be at least a day and a half before they can get to us. So I guess we live here now, and I guess we'll get back on the road as soon as we can, if they can fix our bus. Hopefully they can fix our bus. So it wasn't as bad as we thought it could have been. It could have been the transmission, which could have been terrible for us, but turns out it was a leaky transmission line, which causes most of the issue. But Still, there was a problem with our radiator, so we were trying to get a new radiator, which means we won't be getting that until tomorrow afternoon, which means we're stuck here overnight. But, you know, when life hands you lemons, you know, make sweet lemonade in the desert riding off in the sunset with your moped. And that was Tuesday, and tomorrow is Friday, and that is too many days. But as we learned from the wisdom of Kung Fu Panda, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift, and that is why they call it the present. So we're going to make the best of a bad situation, we are going to have fun, we're getting on the road to adventure in the morning, but for now, I am getting my epic ending, riding off in the sunset in style. I grew up with dyslexia. That means I had a hard time reading and writing. School kind of lost my interest once they stopped putting pictures in the textbooks. My attention then turned to the walls of the classroom, which were covered in motivational posters filled with awe-inspiring photographs and some cheesy quote underneath it like, "Be the bridge." I spent most of my time looking at the photos, but I think some of that cheesy positivity came through. And because of these positive posters, I believe that my optimistic outlook is a foundational emotional response in most circumstances. Until we broke down for the second time in New Mexico. Boom, baby, we are back. We've spent all week in the shop and we are finally hitting the road. Brew's just so excited, you can tell. We just drove over this gorge and we didn't know it was coming up, so now we have to go back and take photos and videos. You'll see. You'll see. Okay,
Adam is scared of heights.
It's at this moment.
Adam won't even hang his toes over the edge.
It's at this moment that I realize how tough my wife and even my dog are. They're just invincible, I suppose, because heights. That's like my no. I'm not gonna do it.
Adam, all my weight's pushing against
Well,
this.
you're gonna fall and I'm gonna cry.
Here we go.
Stop and vomit. We met up with a friend that we made back at the Tiny House Festival way back in Georgia. She took us to the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, which was actually on my bucket list since we started. There's no light pollution, and it was the darkest night sky I have ever seen. The next morning, although bright and beautiful, took a dark turn. The second time we broke down, it felt like an attack on my optimism. It truly did almost break me. We worked so hard for over a year, then to only break down 2 months into the adventure, it didn't seem fair. Then we were given just a little bit of hope. Possibly, we could get this beast to ride again. Determined not to let the bus define the adventure, we decided to rent a small SUV, pack it with just about everything we owned, and continue the journey north. Well, this sucks. We lost all of our oil while we were driving. From a line that was coming out of the radiator that was replaced by the shop from last week, but they still won't put it under warranty, so we are going to have to do a complete engine rebuild. We are renting this car for the next 2 weeks because we have weddings to go shoot. She's downsized basically the whole bus into this little car for the next 2 weeks. It is going to be very interesting to try and like live and sleep and entertain the dog in this thing, so we'll see what happens. So our first night in the rental was awful. Terrible night's sleep, probably just because we're, I don't know, sleeping in a tiny little SUV. We're on our way to Grand Junction, Colorado, but there's snow on the way. And Brew hasn't seen snow since the day that we picked him up. And Destiny is a sucker for mountains, so we pulled over to go explore. We made it over the snow-capped mountains and then back down in the valley to Grand Junction. Then we headed west into Utah, where we met our bride-to-be at Arches National Park in Moab. So Des and Raquel are up there. We are scouting out spots for Raquel's wedding, and this is unreal. After that, we had a full week just to explore Utah, which was exciting because it's been at the top of our list for states to explore. Not having the bus was about as inconvenient as I thought it would be. Every night we had to unpack the trunk into the driver's and passenger's seats, then fold down the back seats and MacGyver a bed out of pillows and blankets. Most nights were uncomfortable, but that's kind of what this lifestyle is about, right? I mean, maybe it's my optimism creeping back in, but having to live on the fly and make course corrections along the way, living in a constant state of unsuredness about where you're going to stay at night or what town you're going to have your next shower in, kind of is part of the charm. Yes, this lifestyle does have its own unique set of circumstances, like parking on an incline for the evening. Honey, would you like to be big spoon or little spoon? Uphill or downhill? These are the kinds of things we sacrifice for a lifestyle of freedom. Like the opportunity to go hiking on a Monday morning at 11 a.m. or a full day of hiking just to find a waterfall. My optimism started to return when our conversations started to slip into how fortunate we actually were to not have Lagome with us. Sad to say, but I'm not sure that Lagome could have made it down some of those roads or up some of those hills. We started saying things like how grateful we were because we were able to go further and faster without the bus in a state that we had been itching to explore. The day after the wedding, with my positive outlook returned, we went back to New Mexico to pick up the bus. We spent the past year planning and building the inside so that we could live and travel. We didn't plan to rebuild everything under the hood in the past 3 weeks. But now our bus is ready for all the adventures to come and will be ready for anything we throw at it. Hopefully. Probably. I'm not in any position to give advice. I live in a bus. But if you were asking, I would say that life is a journey and we're all on it. You're going to come across obstacles and forks in the road and other things that feel like bad luck. It's a fact of life. These things are not for or against you, they just are. If you approach these things with the understanding that the immediate effect might not be in your favor, but there could be many more positive repercussions that could outweigh the temporary disappointment you feel. If you adopt this attitude, your path will be filled with more joy, hope, and excitement than if you had a negative one. And that was a lot of words to express a simple concept, which was probably said better by the scholar named Joe Dirt when he said, "Life's a garden, man, dig it." Oh, and how was that wedding? Oh, thanks for asking. It was incredible.